4 of the first 6 races has been won by one driver. This driver drove for a team, used to drive for a team that also performed this feat. That driver was Dale Earnhardt Sr. He did it in 1987. Won the first 4 of 6 races. He won the second race at Rockingham, Richmond at the third race, the 5th race at Darlington, and the 6th race at North Wilkesboro. He would go on to win 6 or 7 more times that season en route to his 3rd championship. It was probably one of his best seasons that he did in his career. Up until that point, especially. And the other driver, this has only been done 2 other times. He won the 2nd race at Rockingham, 3rd race at Richmond, 4th race at Atlanta, and the 5th race at Darlington. Unlike Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott would not win again until the final race of the year at Atlanta. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't consistent enough and lost the championship to a driver that drove for his own team, Alan Kulwicki. Alan Kulwicki was consistent that year. He wasn't flashy. He did just enough to win the championship. Will we have a repeat of that season where Tyler Reddick is the flashy one doing all his winning? And then we have a consistent, quiet driver sneak in backdoor and win the championship. Based upon what we've seen so far this season, those drivers that could sneak in through the back door and quietly win the championship. Drivers like Brad Keselowski, he could do it. Ty Gibbs, he's off to a strong start. Can he maintain it? Denny Hamlin, he's already got a win, but who's to say that's going to be his only win? But the drivers I'm really looking at that could do this in that similar fashion is Chase Elliott, who's Mr. Consistency. Since we've gone to the Gen 7 car, he hasn't been flashy. He hasn't been the dominant self that he used to be, but he's consistent. He usually gets a 1 win, maybe 2 a season. He's consistent. Top 15s, top 20s, top 10s, he's doing them. He has the best average finish of the next gen era. He could do it. He could sneak in through the back door quietly, win the championship. Another driver who, based upon his start this year, could also do it, and that's Bubba Wallace. He's also shown that he can be consistent, and that's what this points format prefers. I mean, winning is worth a lot of points, and you can really pad a lead. Just look at Tyler Reddick. But if you're not consistent, how good are those wins really? So if you say consistent top 5, top 10s, he could also win the top championship. And then you got Mr. Inconsistency, Mr. Flashy, Kyle Larson. He's in the back half of the top 10, but he's inconsistent. So he could do it. Now, if we wanted to dabble into that some more in the 1992 season, there was another driver who was flashy, but kept on getting injured. He would win and wreck and win and wreck. Davey Allison. I think that set aside the injury part. I think if this would play out similar to that season, that driver could be Ryan Blaney. He could fire off some wins real quick. He's flashy. He's Mr. Long run guy. But enough about the comparison of the 92 season. This could also play out much like 1987, where Dale Earnhardt went on to win 7 more race wins and the championship. Tyler Reddick could do that, especially with the start he's on. He had 2 wins fall into his lap, more or less, and he won at 2 tracks that he's very good at. They're his best tracks. So it's not really a surprise if you look at the stats to realize, hey, he's good at these tracks. So this is not really that much of a surprise. The timing is poor. because just last year, 2311, and Front Row Motorsports, we mustn't forget, they were also part of this lawsuit. And they settled, and NASCAR settled out of court to end the lawsuit. People saying, "Oh, this is part of the settlement deal." Is it? Because if there's a settlement deal, wouldn't you think Front Row Motorsports would also be running much, much better? Think about it. He's off to a hot start. 2 wins, like I said, fell in his lap. The other 2 are the tracks he's good at. And if we go upon that, Lady Luck doesn't always stick with you. So he could turn, he can go through some slump. But he's got enough of a padding. If he's finishing top 15, it's going to take weeks to catch him. So he's able to back off or have trouble if so happens. But I predict he's probably going to get 2, maybe 3 more wins. He's very good at Darlington. He could sweep. He's shown he's really good there. And he's really good at Homestead, which is a series finale. He could win there. He's good at Kansas. He's won there before. Or has he? I think. The team's won there, if nothing else. The team he's driving for has won there before, so at the very minimum. So he could get up to 7 wins this season. All 3 could not come until the chase, very end of the season. Then again, he could get the snap off another random win somewhere. And everybody's like, why is Toyota so good? Think about it. Ford's has been flat tracks, the bread and butter, because that's been the winning you're in the race finale at Phoenix. So they focused heavily on that track type. They're not going to change it over a season. It's going to take them probably most of the season, maybe part of the next season, to start showing some strength to some of these other ovals, unless your name's Ryan Blaney. Chevy, they got a new body this year. They got a new nose. Again, we mustn't forget that. They're going to be slow starting out. And once the Chevrolet start getting back and figuring out this car, Ryan Blaney and the other Toyotas will start coming down to earth. But let's stop rambling about what Tyler Reddick has achieved. Let's start talking about the actual race. Lap 1, Tyler Reddick gets voltage issues. The alternator was not charging the battery. Could have doomed them from the start, especially on a hot day. But at the end of stage 1, they changed the battery to a bigger battery that would be able to last to the end of this race. And long as Tyler Reddick didn't get overheated to the point where he needed to get out of the car, he was going to be good this race. It's just a matter of getting back up there. Stage 1 was pretty cut and dry. Tyler Reddick was the driver to beat until the pit stops. When they had a slow pit stop, that cost them the lead, ultimately handing the lead to Brad Keselowski, who would sweep the stages, stage 1 and stage 2, getting max points and finishing second. He did everything but win and get the fastest lap award. So he got the second most points. Could have almost maxed out the day if he won. The first caution didn't happen till I think towards the end of stage 1. Nope, stage 2, lap 112. Eric Jones gets hit from Denny Hamlin, causing him to spin, which caused Bubba Wallace to hit Denny Hamlin, putting him up in the wall. Not a very damaging wreck for any of these teams. They ultimately was able to continue on. Unfortunately, Bubba Wallace later in the race damaged his car after hitting the wall, putting him many laps down. The other caution was late in the later part of the race when Riley Herbst got spun and hit the inside wall. The only contact with the wall other than the Darlington stripe of the race. Ryan Blaney ultimately finished third after having another loose wheel. 2 of the last 3 weeks he's had loose wheels. he ultimately had probably a top 5 car, and who knows what he would have done if he had not had that problem. Did he have enough for Tyler Reddick? Probably not. Only driver late in the race that showed any signs of challenging Tyler Reddick was Carson Hocevar, which was burning through the field due to having fresher tires at the end. And if they had a late race caution with that much of an advantage, if nobody pitted that late, he would have done something. It would have been a chaos up front. Probably would have been someone would have went home mad. And ultimately Carson Hocevar wouldn't have won. Another top 10 for Ty Gibbs, snapping his top 5 streak, but he still gets the top 10. You got to get a shout out to Austin Cindric. Finally was able to pull a race together without any kind of issue preventing him from winning, or finishing well, I should say. Finished 5th. Daniel Suarez. It's starting to look like a good move moving to Spire because 2 of the 3 cars are in the top 10 in this race, with Suarez finishing 7th and Hocevar finishing 4th. Then you had William Byron, who leading the Hendrick Brigade. It was Kyle Larson, but he broke a toe link late in the race, went many laps down. Unfortunate for Kyle Larson because he didn't have the car to beat. No one had the car to beat, unless your name's Tyler Reddick. But he could have snuck in a top 10 or top 12. Ultimately finished poorly as a result. Then you had Chris Buescher, who ultimately had probably the second best Ford in the race until he got hit by Tyler Reddick, making a move into the pit stop, damaging his car. Still managed to finish top 10. And rounding out the top 10 is Eric Jones, who finishes 10th. Denny Hamlin didn't get a top 10, but he finishes 11th. Chase Briscoe, starting to put together some points, finishes 12th. Maybe he'll be able to start moving up in the points and go where he belongs. Ryan Preece rounds out the RFK Fords in 13th. Shane Van Gisbergen sneaks in for a 14th place position. No one talked about him all day. Then Chase Elliott, top 15 finish, 15 averaging out the field. Ross Chastain, he's been about where he's at all season, 15th, 16th position. Josh Berry sneaks in and gets a top 17 finish, followed up by Connor Zilic for his first top 20 of the year. Christopher Bell, much like Joe Gibbs, was ultimately a no-show, with Denny Hamlin leading the race at one point. No, maybe not leading the race, but up front at one point. Michael McDowell finishes 20th, Kyle Busch 21st, then you got Zane Smith. You notice there's a name that's missing from all of this. It's a former champion, Joey Logano. That team apparently missed the setup entirely. They were a non-factor the entire race. They were a backmarker team in this race. He finished the race ultimately 3 laps down. Missed the setup by the looks of it because they anticipated a certain way and they failed miserably. That hurts them in the points, especially with this points format where consistency is more important than ever compared to the winning your end playoffs format. Ultimately, I give this race a 5 out of 10. It wasn't my favorite race, but it was the third race with this package. A lot of tire wear. I underestimated how much of a factor that was going to be. I overestimated how much of a factor that's going to be. Ultimately, it gave us old Darlington with the terms of worn out tires, but it didn't give us any wrecks. It is what it is. Some people live for them. Some people live for the racing. I thought it was pretty good racing, just overshadowed by Tyler Reddick, who dominated. Would have just ran away with the field had he not had voltage issues or a pit stop issue. We now move on to Martinsville next week and Bristol. Both with the same package. Different tire combinations, but different package. Martinsville is going to be unknown. It's going to be more braking, so more dive bombs. Bristol, tire wear is going to be king, especially if it's cold. If it's real cold, these tires are going to wear like you wouldn't believe. And with higher horsepower, that's going to be twice as bad unless they have a different tire this year. Comment below what you think of this race. And like and subscribe for more. I will see you in the next video.